Breaking. Jim Jones. Yes, that Jim Jones just got caught on camera doing the unthinkable. And the internet is straight up losing its mind. Footage of what appears to be a full-blown explosive altercation between Jim and longtime fiancée, Chrissy Lampkin, has gone viral faster than you can say love and hip-hop meltdown. But hold up, is this just another clout-chasing stunt for the cameras? Or did Jim actually cross the line this time? Because what we're seeing, it's messy, chaotic, and 1000% scandalous. Like, we're talking reality TV went too far kind of chaos. Did someone say cancel culture on speed dial? Because the streets are talking, the blogs are boiling, and social media, oh, it's in flames. 1 second he's a rapper turned reality star with a diamond proposal, and the next he's the center of a storm nobody saw coming, or maybe we all did and just looked the other way. So what really went down in that hotel hallway? Who leaked the footage? And why is everyone suddenly acting like Jim and Chrissy haven't been on the verge for years? Buckle up, because this ain't just drama, this is scandal with receipts. And baby, we're unpacking all of it. So here's how the chaos really began. Not with fists flying, but with whispers in the hallway, and a phone screen lighting up with secrets. Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin, the couple that's been dangling engagement rings in our faces since flip phone days, just took a nosedive straight into Scandal City, and the elevator footage that surfaced didn't just shake the internet, it turned the timeline into a full-blown war zone. According to multiple so-called anonymous sources, what started as a private disagreement behind hotel doors ended in a public explosion. And let's just say, it ain't giving love, it's giving lawsuit. Now let's rewind. Everyone remembers their wild roller coaster on Love and Hip Hop, the yelling, the proposals, the tears that felt way too real to be scripted. But this ain't VH1 chaos. This is viral footage showing Jim allegedly lunging at Chrissy, in a moment that's got everyone asking, has this gone way too far? The clip, blurry as hell but loud as ever, shows Chrissy stepping back while yelling something we couldn't make out. Because apparently hotel security footage in 2025 is still filmed with a toaster, but body language, that don't lie. Jim's posture was aggressive, and Chrissy didn't look shocked. She looked tired. Like this wasn't the first time things had spiraled into something physical. And now the internet is piecing it all together like it's their civic duty. People pulling up clips from 2012, talking about look at this energy, using screenshots like court exhibits. TikTok is running wild. One user even said, I always knew something was off with Jim, and this just confirms it. Another claimed, this is what happens when unresolved issues are glamorized for TV. And y'all, they're not wrong. These two have been clinging to a situationship more than a relationship, and when Chrissy proposed to him back in the day, that wasn't love, that was a red flag waving in 4K before 4K existed. And now the flags are soaked in gasoline and someone lit the match. Let's talk about the events leading up to the leaked video. Sources say the couple checked into a private suite at an upscale Manhattan hotel for what was supposed to be a weekend getaway. But that's where the fairy tale ended and the police reports almost began. One hotel employee, who asked to remain anonymous probably because they still want to keep their job, claims they heard shouting around 2 a.m. It sounded like things were being thrown. They said, and then I heard a woman screaming, you promised me you'd change. Phew, that's not love. That's a Lifetime movie in real time. Not long after, security was called to the 8th floor. But here's where it gets weirder. Instead of handling things quietly, someone from inside the staff allegedly sold the footage to a gossip page, and the way it hit the internet, like wildfire in dry brush. Within hours, every major blog had the grainy clip up with titles like Jim explodes on Chrissy, Toxic Love Gone Too Far, and the all-time favorite, Where's Mona Scott When You Need Her? The footage doesn't show a full-blown beatdown, and let's be clear, we're not accusing Jim of laying hands, but the body language, the yelling, and the panic in Chrissy's voice had people deeply uncomfortable. This isn't about drama anymore. It's about whether reality TV blurred the lines so badly that we missed the red flags for entertainment. And Jim's reaction to all this? Crickets. Not a tweet. Not a story. Not even a shady repost. Just silence. Chrissy, on the other hand, posted and deleted a cryptic Instagram story that said, some of y'all gon' believe a lie just because it entertains you. And baby, if that ain't damage control 101, I don't know what is. But here's where things take a left turn into full-blown conspiracy land. Online sleuths, because Twitter thinks it's the FBI, began pulling receipts from previous incidents. Remember that interview where Chrissy said she had to step back to protect her peace? Or when Jim skipped out on counseling sessions, despite telling her he would go just to prove he cared? Well now, fans are linking all of it like some demented jigsaw puzzle. They're pointing out how often Chrissy's been gaslit on camera. How many times she cried while Jim stared at her like she was speaking French. And don't forget the infamous "I'm not ready for marriage" moment that had Chrissy looking like she was swallowing glass. The narrative is building, and it's building fast. Jim has always been controlling, manipulative, and emotionally distant, and now, maybe physically aggressive too. But the timing of this leak, that's got people raising eyebrows. Like, why now? Why drop the footage just days after Jim launched his new music project? Are we witnessing an actual toxic relationship falling apart? Or are we being served manufactured chaos to boost streams? That's the million-dollar question, and either answer is disturbing. Because if it's real, then Chrissy's been enduring this for years behind the scenes. But if it's fake, then both of them just played with something way too serious for clout. And we're not the only ones asking. Allegedly, sponsors tied to Jim's latest endorsements have paused discussions, and there's buzz that legal teams are now involved to stop the spread of the footage. Too late though. The internet doesn't forget, and it damn sure doesn't delete. Meanwhile, another anonymous source, probably Jim's barber's cousin's ex-roommate, claims there's a second video, one that allegedly shows what happened inside the hotel room before they got to the hallway. And if that drops, it's game over. Because if part 1 had people debating, part 2 might have them demanding charges. The footage is currently being reviewed according to some shady blog that swears they have connections to TMZ. But y'all already know, if there's more, it's coming. Because in 2025, clout is currency, and mess is monetized. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Chrissy's longtime friend, who also happens to be a background cast member from the earlier seasons of Love and Hip Hop, went live on Instagram and dropped bombs. She claimed Chrissy's been trying to leave Jim for years, but every time she tries, he pulls her back in with promises of marriage, change, or money. He's not just toxic, she said. He's addictive. That live got saved, screen recorded, and reposted 100 times. And the more people watch, the more they start connecting the dots, not just with Jim and Chrissy, but with the whole damn franchise. What if the toxicity wasn't the storyline? What if it was real all along? What if Mona Scott wasn't the mastermind but the mirror reflecting what we refused to see? And just when you think it couldn't spiral any further, that's when the real unraveling begins. With the internet already ablaze and the footage dissected frame by frame like it's the Zapruder film, Jim's inner circle starts panicking. A so-called insider who claims to have worked closely with Jim's management team spills to a gossip outlet that the rapper has been in emergency meetings for damage control. According to them, Jim is furious not just about the leak but about who leaked it. Apparently, there were only a handful of people with access to that specific floor's surveillance, and now there's suspicion swirling around his own camp. Some believe it might have been someone close to Chrissy who released the footage to finally get the world to see what she's been dealing with behind the cameras. But the real kicker, that rumored second video everyone was whispering about, it dropped. And it didn't hold back. The new footage, allegedly taken from inside the hotel room just minutes before the hallway confrontation, reveals a loud verbal argument that escalated quickly. Jim's voice is heard dominating the audio, berating Chrissy about loyalty, betrayal, and disrespecting him in public. While no actual physical altercation is shown, the way he moves toward her, cornering her while pointing and yelling, has viewers shaken. Chrissy's voice trembles as she tells him to back off, saying, "I'm done protecting you." That one line alone has now become a viral soundbite being used across TikTok videos, reaction reels, and even commentary from major influencers. It's no longer just a scandal. It's a movement. People are flooding Chrissy's old interviews with sympathetic comments. Her quietness on social media is now being interpreted as fear or silence by force. And some are calling for women's rights organizations to step in. Meanwhile, Jim's brand is in freefall. Not only are his endorsement deals under review, but one of his scheduled performances was quietly canceled by organizers who didn't want to deal with the backlash. And the fans. They're split. One half thinks this is just messy reality TV energy that spiraled, but the other half believes this is deep-rooted, emotional and possibly physical abuse that's been masked by years of fame, toxic loyalty, and a deeply manipulated image. A Twitter thread even went viral laying out a full timeline of manipulation, tracing back to the earliest days of their public relationship. Remember when Chrissy said she had to move out just to make him miss her? Or when she bought her own ring because he couldn't commit? All those moments now feel like puzzle pieces falling into a much darker picture. Even other celebrities have begun to speak out. An R&B singer who worked with Jim back in the day posted a vague tweet. "Some of y'all only know the character. I've seen the man. Praying for her." That tweet was followed by a flurry of likes and cryptic quote tweets, with people saying "we knew and the streets been talking." Meanwhile, legal experts are stepping in, doing breakdowns online of whether this footage could be used in court. One popular YouTube lawyer with millions of followers did a 30-minute live explaining how the hotel room recording could violate privacy laws, but also how Chrissy could potentially sue if she proved she was emotionally or physically threatened. And guess what? A rumored restraining order is now being talked about. Some reports claim Chrissy's team has already consulted legal counsel and that she's contemplating not just leaving the relationship for good, but also pursuing legal protection. Jim hasn't said a word publicly, but insiders claim he's fuming, not because of regret, but because of betrayal. Apparently, he feels ambushed, exposed, and is accusing Chrissy of setting him up to look bad. His side insists the footage was manipulated, that context is missing, and that there was no threat, just frustration. But public opinion isn't swayed, because if frustration looks like pacing aggressively, yelling over a partner, and invading their personal space while they cry, then maybe a lot more people are in dangerous relationships than we think. And it doesn't help that Chrissy's silence is being interpreted as strategic. In her last known message to her stylist, yes, her stylist, because people are now leaking text conversations left and right, she reportedly said, "This time, I'm not cleaning up his mess." That's not just a statement, that's a declaration. A tired woman fed up with defending someone who's been dragging her name and heart through the dirt for over a decade. And while all of this unfolds, Mona Scott, the mastermind behind their reality TV legacy, is catching heat too. Some are accusing her of turning a blind eye, of exploiting their toxicity for ratings without checking in on the real-life trauma behind the scenes. One former Love and Hip Hop production assistant anonymously revealed in a tell-all blog post that there were multiple times Chrissy would cry, off-camera, and no one intervened. That blog post ended with a sentence that chilled everyone. Reality TV didn't create the abuse, it just gave it a stage. Now Chrissy's ex-friends are suddenly speaking up. A former associate did a clubhouse room where she claimed Chrissy has been isolated for years, slowly pulled away from support systems, and convinced that love means tolerating pain. That same associate also claimed Jim had a temper, and that every time he was about to blow, Chrissy would shrink into herself. Suddenly, this isn't just about a viral clip anymore. This is about a decade-long pattern of emotional manipulation, public humiliation, and private chaos. And with each new day, more leaks, more voices, and more layers are being added to this unraveling saga. Fans are now calling for Chrissy to break her silence. There are petitions, trending hashtags, and endless speculation about what she say if and when she does speak. But the most eerie detail: a rumored upcoming interview with a major daytime talk show host, who allegedly reached out to Chrissy privately. According to the production insider, the invitation was extended under the promise of a safe space to tell her side. No confirmation yet, but if true, it could be the most explosive interview since Meghan Markle sat across from Oprah. And Jim, he's reportedly holed up somewhere with his phone off and his legal team running interference. Damage control has turned into full crisis mode, and still, not a single official statement has been made. No apology, no denial, just silence and disappearing appearances. One radio show tried to call him live for comment, and his rep responded with 2 words, "No comment." Those 2 words said more than anything else he could have shared, because in the world of public scandal, silence isn't safety, it's guilt wrapped in a weak PR strategy. But silence doesn't stay quiet for long. Not when the world is refreshing timelines and hungry for another twist. Just days after the second video shook the entire internet, another voice entered the chaos, this time from law enforcement. An unnamed NYPD source allegedly told a gossip tabloid that they've received multiple tips about the hotel incident and are actively reviewing footage and statements to determine if charges are applicable. While no formal charges have been filed yet, the buzz around possible legal consequences has sent shockwaves through the hip-hop community. And now Jim's name isn't just being whispered in group chats. It's reportedly sitting on the edge of a potential police investigation. Public pressure has grown so intense that even organizations focused on domestic abuse awareness have started releasing statements. One popular nonprofit posted a scathing Instagram message without naming names but clearly referencing the situation, stating, "Abuse doesn't always leave bruises. Emotional intimidation and fear are violence too." That post racked up millions of likes, shares, and comments tagging Chrissy directly. And then came the bombshell no one expected. A former Love and Hip Hop producer came forward in a shocking tell-all livestream, with trembling hands and a voice that cracked midway through. He detailed incidents during filming that were allegedly cut to protect Jim's image. He spoke of scenes where Chrissy cried in the green room, where she refused to come out of her trailer, where producers urged her to push through for the story. According to him, there were multiple complaints, but each one was brushed aside, for the sake of narrative consistency and ratings gold. He even suggested that producers feared Jim's temper behind the scenes and often kept crew members away from him during filming. Suddenly, it wasn't just a toxic relationship, it was an entire media machine that enabled it. The backlash was swift. Mona Scott and her production company started trending again. This time not for their legendary franchise, but for allegedly ignoring emotional abuse for the sake of reality TV drama. Fans began demanding accountability not just from Jim, but from the very system that glamorized his behavior. Think pieces began flooding the internet, titled things like "When Love Isn't Entertainment" and "Chrissy Lampkin Deserved Better." People started pulling up old interviews, old red carpet moments, old behind-the-scenes clips, reading them with new eyes and a sharper lens. Even other reality stars began speaking out. One cast member from a different Love and Hip Hop city revealed that she too was pushed to stay in toxic scenes and was discouraged from speaking up when things got heated. It was like the whole facade was crumbling, and at the center of it stood Chrissy, silent, but more powerful than ever. And then, finally, Chrissy spoke. Not in an interview, not on TV, but in a quiet, poised Instagram video that lasted just under 3 minutes. No background music, no makeup, just her, sitting in front of a window, sunlight washing over her face like a shield. She looked calm, but her voice, unshakable. She didn't name Jim once. She didn't mention the footage. But every word pierced like a knife. "There comes a time," she began, "when protecting someone else becomes the act that destroys you. I gave years of my life to something I thought was love. What I got in return was silence, confusion, and fear." Her eyes didn't waver. She didn't cry. No one can force you to leave until you're ready. And when you're ready, no one can stop you. "I'm ready now." That was it. No tea, no gossip. Just the quiet thunder of a woman reclaiming her power. The internet exploded. Celebrities, influencers, fans, even media outlets reposted the video, with captions like "We stand with Chrissy," and "Her silence spoke volumes, but her truth roared." Meanwhile, Jim's world kept crumbling. Brands began pulling endorsements left and right. His music video, which was scheduled to drop the same week, was scrapped entirely. His publicist allegedly quit. A team member close to the situation leaked a conversation where Jim reportedly screamed, "She's ruining everything." But no, Jim, she wasn't ruining anything. She was exposing it. And now, questions are mounting about what comes next. Will Jim face actual charges? Will there be a full-blown legal case? Will other women come forward? Because let's be real, when one person speaks, others find the courage to. And what if Chrissy's story is just one chapter in a much bigger book of stories about men in power, hiding behind fame while inflicting damage behind closed doors? There's also talk now of Chrissy working on a memoir. Allegedly, a major publisher reached out the day her video dropped and offered a 7-figure deal. If that book gets written, we're not just getting gossip, we're getting the truth, raw and unfiltered. And Jim, he's gone completely dark. No social media, no interviews, just whispers of him staying at a friend's estate in upstate New York, rebuilding his image and getting therapy, according to one source. But it's too little, too late. The damage is done. And this isn't about damage control anymore, it's about accountability. What started as a leaked video has turned into a cultural reckoning. The entertainment industry is being forced to look at the stories it profits from. Reality TV is being exposed for the way it exploits real pain for fake drama. And we, the viewers, are waking up to the cost of our consumption. As for Chrissy, she's being celebrated not just as a survivor, but as a woman who finally said enough. The support hasn't stopped pouring in. Women are sharing their own stories in her comments section. Advocacy groups are offering resources. Her name, once attached to a storyline of endless waiting and heartbreak, is now tied to strength, clarity, and the decision to walk away. This moment isn't just viral, it's vital. It's not just about Jim Jones. It's about every person who's ever hidden their pain behind loyalty, who's ever smiled through a storm because cameras were rolling. It's about waking up, speaking up, and refusing to be silenced. Because, in the end, truth doesn't need a filter, a franchise, or a flashy tagline. It just needs a voice. And Chrissy finally used hers, now that the truth is finally out and the smoke is clearing. We have to ask ourselves, how many more stories like Chrissy's are hiding behind fame, filters, and flashing lights? If you watched this entire video, you already know this wasn't just another celebrity scandal. It was a reflection of the deeper issues so many people face in silence. So what do you think? Is this the beginning of Jim Jones' downfall? Or just another chapter in the never-ending cycle of fame protecting the powerful? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Do you believe Chrissy should speak more publicly? Should Jim face legal consequences? And are you finally seeing reality TV for what it really is? Hit that like button if you stand with survivors. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another breaking bombshell, like this one. We're pulling back the curtain on the stories others are too scared to touch. And trust it's only going to get wilder from here. Turn on your notifications, stay ready, and remember, every secret eventually comes to light. Keep watching, keep questioning, and most importantly, keep demanding the truth. Because here, we don't just report the drama. We expose it.